Hello and welcome to Minter Dialogue, episode number 477. My name is Minter Dial and I'm your host for this podcast, a proud member of the Evergreen Podcast Network. For more information, or to check out other shows on the network, please visit evergreenpodcast.com. This week's interview, I am delighted to say, is with my dear friend Beatrice Dautzenberg. Beatrice is currently Managing Director for the L'Oreal Professional Products Division of UK and Ireland. Beatrice is a rare breed for many reasons. Not least is that she's an executive in a large multinational who knows and declares her personal purpose straight up. In this conversation with Beatrice, we discuss her tremendous career path, her experiences living and working in 6 different countries so far, the evolution of culture and leadership style at L'Oreal, the place and role of purpose, and some of the lessons learned in the transformation that the company has undergone during her tenure. You'll find all the show notes on minterdial.com. And if you have a moment, please do consider to drop in your rating and review. And don't forget to subscribe to catch all the future episodes. Now for the show. Wow. Beatrice Dautzenberg. Who would have thought all these years we've known each other? What a pleasure to have you in front of me and to be able to talk about you, your career, what's going on at L'Oreal. In your own words, Beatrice, how would you like to describe yourself?
Hello, Minter. What a pleasure to be with you. I'm Beatrice Dautzenberg, the Managing Director of the Professional Product Division of L'Oreal here in the UK and in Ireland, managing a wonderful team of 400 persons and working with 50,000 hairdressers across the countries and different business partners of the industry. If I had to describe myself, I would add that I am a mother of 3 kids, that I have traveled across the world, that sports play like nature and beauty in all its form, diverse, and an essential role in my life.
Beautiful kids that you have and a wonderful husband, Bertrand, who I've had the pleasure to know as well along these years. You've had a crazy 18 plus years at L'Oreal. Well, crazy because you have certainly traveled a lot. So describe to us your career path and all the countries you visited and played in over these years.
Yeah, actually, if we had my internship, it's almost it's 20 years at L'Oreal.
Uh-oh.
So like half of my life, really, that I had at L'Oreal. And I always say that L'Oreal is my second family, and I met some amazing people there that shaped me. And actually, I want to shape that one of the amazing leaders that I had the chance to work with is you, Minter Dial.
Oh.
When I was in Paris, in this strategic global department in Paris. And I must admit, you have been one of the leaders that shaped me the most at L'Oreal, sharing with me invaluable advice that I keep carrying and also giving to the young one. The first one is the one that you described so well in your book, you lead. But lucky me, I had this advice, 14 years ago. So it helped me for the rest of my career is, I ask you, what should I do? And, what do you think? And you give me this advice, and I know you give it to many CEOs since then, is before to know what to do, know who you want to be, know yourself. And when you know who you are and who you want to be, it's easy to know what to do. And it really changed me. It changed my life. And I had we are not going to talk about it now, but a strong journey of understanding who I was, to know better what I do. And it gave me a lot of center. So this is the first advice that you gave me that shaped me. The second one, I remember, again, when we had this conversation about what to do in life, we were in a restaurant, you took a little napkin and you draw on this napkin a little plus and minus. And you say, Beatrice, this is your day. When you start your day, you have like a battery, a level of energy. And during your day, you will see people, you will make connection, you will do things that will give you little plus. But you will already meet people that drain you or do things that you don't like, and this will be the minus. to know what to do and to be successful in life, you have to find a way to have more plus than minus and to finish your day, happy. And this is something that helped me in my career choice, in my life choice, is to say no to things or to people, that sometimes are not bringing positive energy and to things that, don't add value. So I have the courage to say no. And to say yes, a bigger yes to things that I love, that my, within my guts, I'm truly attracted by and that give me energy because I think I would be better at. I know it's the same when I hear people that can't wait to be in holidays or can't wait to be at home. And, I think it's important to change job in that case and to find in life something we love to do because life is too short to not live it fully. And so thank you for this second advice on energy that I truly love. And the third one is the one on timing. I think you and me have in common the fact that we are dreamers and maybe innovators, and you much more than me, actually. And we are going, I'm sure, to talk about sustainability, after. But I remember when 14 years ago, I guess, at L'Oreal, when you had this website that was calculating the carbon footprint of a Salon, live, within all the world. And you share with me when you left the company, I was too in advance, and it's important, the sense of timing, when you deliver ideas within business, and it's important, of course, not to be late, but sometimes also when you are in advance to take time and to be here at the right timing. So 3 amazing advice, know who you are to know what to do, find what gives you energy and do what gives you energy. And this question about having a sense of timing for what is happening in the society. And while we see things before others, it's important in terms of business to find the right moment also to drive the project with the right stakeholders. And it's something that really I carry with me during all this year, and that helped me to get this career that I love. So thank you, Minter.
Oh, wow. Well, it feels like many of those lessons or thoughts that I gave to you actually come from the mistakes and the errors in my way. So it's nothing better than learning from one's mistakes, eh?
Yeah, for sure. So you wanted to know about the country I've been working with. So I've been lucky to do, Erasmus in Spain, to study in France, in Ledec. I've been working in France with a laboratory in marketing international. And then, at L'Oreal, we always start on the ground. So I was in countryside, driving a little car, having many accidents, because as every Parisian, I was a very bad driver, visiting.
Driving on the other side of the road in a few countries too.
Exactly. So, it's been a learning curve, working in Belgium, which I truly love, because here I learned the dual culture country. So between the Flemish and the French. Wow, to deliver a plan, with good ROI in this country, where you have, this population, but already split in two. They don't watch the same things. They don't speak the same language. One is more promotion oriented, the other more like French, different culture. So it was already a good learning. I went in Canada, a country where everything is possible, at a time, where Australia was a fast-growing economy, and it was really inspiring. Then going to Canada with more North American business model. What I love about Canada is in terms of marketing, and addressing, with customer centricity, especially when talking about hair. In Vancouver, half of the population have hair that are from Asian origin, so different type of marketing. We deliver some, some color kit trainings, in Mandarin, there to truly adapt to the population. Then you think about Toronto, which is more a mini New York, with a lot of people from all the world, and then back to Montreal or Quebec with a much more French aspect. And if you go to Alberta, it makes you think about a Texas with more cowboy and petrol, gas, totally different, for example, sustainable priorities that in other parts of the country. So truly love my experience also in Canada. And then UK and Ireland. So for me, if I step back, worldwide, I always see, United States, United States, yes, the UK, and Ireland, and China, as three countries where things start before. It's extremely exciting for the hairdressing industry, but also for the digital landscape. When we love tech, when we love transformation, when we love brand. For sure, UK is a country like no other, and I must say I love my job like I've never done. I'm also surrounded by an amazing team. So what I found in this country is people that have been grown. Also it's come from your education system. You have an amazing education system, whether it's to learn about history, science from a very young age. But also, I think the British system has a capacity to learn kids to think and to think differently. My kids, for example, they go to this debating club and they talk about topic of the society that really impress me. And I see that at work. I see that at work because I believe not only there is this taste for innovation, there is this action quotient that is very high. We talk about IQ, intelligent quotient, EQ, emotional quotient. I think what makes companies successful at one point is to get the things done and the action quotient. And I think the Brits have this fantastic mix of IQ, EQ, and AQ, which make you, a very successful country of innovation. And of course, as a leader, when you face so much disruption and you have to drive so much transformation, be surrounded by talented team that have it all, it's a dream. So yes, I love working in the UK. The British hairdressing industry and the Irish one are one of the most advanced of the world. So for sure, it's very inspiring.
Wow. So you've just given us a very quick and cheap journey around the world. You've been on so many different continents, and certainly I was thinking about Belgium, where I was born, the bicultural aspect. At some level, I think obviously Canada has more nuances, but very by language anyway, two languages, and how that's complicated, and dealing with all those, the Hong Kong community in Vancouver, and goodness gracious, different types of populations, and obviously in hairdressing too. So love your energy, Beatrice. It's always good to see your smile and hear your energy. Those pluses obviously are clicking up. So 20 years, including your internship at L'Oreal, including time together with me, how would you describe the way, the style, the culture of L'Oreal, if it has evolved over the years, and how has leadership changed? Because obviously there's been a lot of change in that department too.
Yes. So first, thank you for the question. It's a topic I'm passionate about. I see companies as a kind of a living body, and as a living body, almost like a human, that is composed by all the members of the company. It goes through time, it goes through history. And as, there have been changes in the society, naturally, L'Oreal have evolved. And I must say the company is in the same time the same and totally different. It's the same. So what have we keep? What have we keep in L'Oreal? A fantastic DNA, and entrepreneurial spirit, this willing to go beyond, the sense of adventure, this passion for customer, for the labs, for innovation. So all of that stays the same. Then I've been seeing, like I believe the society have had a lot of new things that are great. I saw them happening at L'Oreal. So I have some memories, for example, of the launch of the ethic charters, that may have happened 15 years ago. So ethic charter, and it was very important to me, because when I started, in DMI, sometimes the way we were dealing with I don't know, agency or stuff like that. I said, we are too tough. Is it okay or not? Myself, I am behaving in the right way because I have the pressure of the deadline, and having this ethic charter, and installing 4 values, that are still the same, that we carry, really helped me. So the value are transparency, respect, integrity, and courage. And courage is for me the one that encompasses it all. I have passion for courage, as a word, as a value, because I believe, it encompasses everything. It's the quality, the virtues that encompass all virtues. When you have courage to speak up, courage to be yourself, courage to say when things are not wrong, not right, courage to fail, so it's a values that I cultivate. And I must say still, for example, this month, we have a focus on ethics with my team, where every Monday we have ethic talks with panel on how do we turn this beautiful word into concrete behavior and action, because, this is the key.
I would love for you to, because I mean, the idea of an ethical framework is, many people talk about it, but the challenge is, it sort of can end up being a piece in an annual report, something that we read about, but making it come alive. So what is it? How do you structure this conversation around implementing the ethical framework, your ethical values?
So what we do is we have so we have two things. So first, we have a speak up policy at L'Oreal. So what does that mean? That means that we have put in place a system for every employee when they feel something is not ethic to be able to speak up. So they can either speak to their manager, to HR, but if they don't feel comfortable, we have other line, whether in the UK or Ireland, whether in Paris, so that everybody can speak. So I think first, creating a safe space for people to speak is very important. Another example is we have, some things that I love at L'Oréal, which is the Ethics Day. So one day a year, the CEO, Jean-Paul Agon, started, and Nicolas Hieronymus courageously continues. He received live questions from all the world, from all employees. And there is no filter. You can see it, because when you see the question, you're like, ooh, wow. And he tackled all these questions live, He doesn't have always all the answers straight away, but I think the courage to show that every topic can be put on the table at L'Oréal is creating a culture that is fantastic. Of course, always more to be done. And then the third thing we do is we try to have this talk where all of us, we share our difficulties, the question we have. I think, for example, one of the ethic compass that I take for me is coming from Emmanuel Lulin, that you have known, Minter, that used to be the chief ethic officer, which I truly inspire me. You always say, because sometimes you have a choice between two difficult decisions. What do you do? You always say you have to be comfortable that the decision you take will be put the day after in the front page of a newspaper. Will you be comfortable that the decision you take will be in the front page of a newspaper? The word you use, the action you did, and if you are comfortable, it will work. And I love this because you know what? I realize that, stress is something, in companies that I want to fight, because I believe companies should be a place for people to flourish, and I want it to be a positive, in the life of our team member. And I believe that one of the reasons of stress sometimes is because we don't have this perfect alignment. For example, if I think something about an employee, but I don't have the courage to tell the employee in front, it will create stress. If I have something to say to a business partner that I'm not okay with, but I don't speak up, what I don't say, it creates stress. If I have to do things in business that I'm not sure that are all right, it creates stress. As long as you have better alignment, it makes life at the office much better, much more relaxed, So I also think that ethics is a way to remove stress in companies. That's why I'm a big advocate of it. But it's a journey. It's never enough. There is always more things to be done. Another thing also is, I think as a leader, I have a responsibility to, of course, do warning when behavior are not ethic, but also sometimes to take difficult decisions. So in my career, I had to take difficult decisions. So people that were extremely smart, brilliant, performing, with full of experience, that were really helpful for me. But I had sometimes, to have to say goodbye to some people because there were some ethic behaviors that were not okay, and it was not helping us to create the safety culture that we wanted to have in the company. So I believe we are all the guardian of ethic, and it's important. So ethic is one of the change I've seen during this year. And then there is another big change, which is the change of the leadership behavior. Minter, you have heard about this big program called Simplicity. And basically, what is Simplicity designed for is to help us to manage better tension. Imagine the world we live in. You have at L'Oreal this tension between you have to have big bets, but you also have to have proven product success. You want a worldwide reach, but a local relevancy. You want to push innovation and to pull innovation. You want a customer perceived value, but you have to manage costs. You want to act with speed, but you want perfection. You want to think about the long term and the short term. You want to have an operational strategic frame, just do 1, 2, 3, stick to it. But then you have this unexpected opportunity. So what are the new behaviors that were needed, and it was launched 10 years ago, to help us to better grasp this opportunity and the polarity, of the situation we live in. And so Jean-Paul Agon, it has been led by the CEO of the company, and we are still living and breathing with it, have launched this new behavior, because we believe that, if you want to change culture, you need to change behavior in a way.
Amen.
And it starts with this fantastic behavior. So to give you some example, of them, test and learn is a new perfection. And it may be obvious today, but I can tell you that when I started in L'Oreal, 20 years ago, when we were in DMI, working on our mock-up on the brand, saying that test and learn is a new perfection. Wow, this is something really big, and it takes time still today, for people like me that have been grown up at L'Oreal, to understand that sometimes, it is okay that we don't have always a recipe for everything to be ready at start. And in digital, for example, it means we start with a MVP, minimum viable product, knowing straight away that we will have customer feedback of things to improve, and being okay with it, and understanding that more than a launch date, we are now entering into a cycle, life cycle and journey, where test and learn and this iterative approach is a new thing. So this is one example. Another example, which really inspire me and drive the way I have managed, the 4 years here, is customer satisfaction is a new product performance. So at L'Oréal, we always have wanted to have products that have what we call the supplément de qualité, like this extra quality, and the labs work and test formula like 100 times, 1,000 times, to make sure that we have the best, most efficient formula. But what I would say that we have really improved over the last years is even more listening to the customer, and really truly putting the customer at the center of the organization. To give you an example, when I arrived in this job, I created the role of customer experience manager, and we have managed NPS, so the net promoted score, of the experience that hairdresser have of our brand on every touch point. So, do they like our education? Do they like our marketing? What about the delivery? What about the product? What about their experience on our website? And every month we really track the score, we analyze the feedback, and we create a feedback loop. So it's really different from before, where we were obsessed by launching our product, and everyone having our product. So now it's what is the customer telling us?
Hello, I'm Paul Brandis, host of the new Evergreen podcast called West Wing Reports. Each Friday, I'll recap the week's highlights from the White House, Capitol Hill, Pentagon, and elsewhere. I'll feature the news affecting you, your money, your job, your life, reported fairly and accurately, as well as interviews with some of Washington's most intriguing people. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
Can I just interrupt a second, Beatrice? I love your what you're talking about. It reminds me of a story that I had when I was at L'Oreal, and it'll bear reference to a product, a competitor product. And at the time, speaking about the competition was almost verboten. We're the best. It was sort of the philosophy we used to carry around. And so we made a brief following a trend that customers wanted, which was to have dirty hair. So there was a product, it was called Bedhead. And we explained the brief to the labs, well, we want to have dirty hair product. And they're like, well, excuse me? We make the best products. I say, yeah, I understand, but the best products that are wanted by the customer today include making your hair look, basically like you just woke up. And we ultimately managed to get it through thanks to the pressure of the idea of what the customer was. But that seems like a long time ago compared to what you say now.
Exactly. It's very interesting. You say so. And I must say, the customer listening culture has always been within L'Oréal culture. I'm a big fan of François Dalle, and he always say it's not in the office that products are born, it's in store, in customer house. And he had this culture of going, listening to the customer. But it's true that sometimes, we are disconnected. What I feel is digital listening, social media, data help us to be more connected than before on the customer. And if I may, I think we are going to talk about it after, so I keep it after, but we are almost moving from a customer approach to a people approach, which is another level, but we are going to talk about it after, because I want to come back on one behavior that, we talk about the simplicity behavior. One that I love is frame and trust is a new control. Together with cooperation is a new confrontation. We used to have, remember in clichés, this room of confrontation where you will bring, your product and you will be challenges, because we believe at L'Oréal that the more you have different point of view, the more you are challenges, the more you can make your product or your ideas or your project better. Here, I think we have moved from a different approach, and maybe a way to sum it all is something, a motto that we have now here in our team in PPD UKI is be nice with person and tough with problem. Be nice with people and tough with problem. And I think this is something, that we work on is really creating this safe space where you can bring a project you work on for 1 year that you love and be okay with the project to be challenged, to turn it into something better. It's to be okay with having some time to face some failures, but that doesn't mean you are not good or not, is being able to take more risks. So I think this is something that I'm quite passionate about, and creating a space where people are trusted, where people are safe, and where they can be themselves, with their full personalities. They can take risk, and they can make mistakes. And I think this is, of course, a route, a path to excellence and to success. So, this is a little what I wanted to share about the change, of behavior. And maybe one last one. It's called "Eat What You Cook." Leave before it burns. Basically, what does it say? That says that we have a longer term vision. Before, at L'Oréal, even in the way we were changing role, there was this idea of being promoted quickly, and getting what's the next role, what do I do next? Now it's more about legacy. I mean, you offer me this book, Legacy in the Making, that I truly love. I have another here, legacy book that I recommend actually to everyone, from James Kerr, that teach us what we can learn from the All Blacks, on the business of life.
Team. Yeah.
It's an amazing one, actually. And I'm passionate about this idea of a legacy in the making. And this is it, in a way, when you work for a company that has been existing for 112 years, that will exist for the next 1,000 years, the question is, what do you want to bring? What do you want to, how do you want to contribute, in the time frame that you have your position? So it's very important to take time to understand what do you inherit from the people that were there before us, and what do you want to shape for the people that will be there after. And I love that. I love to work for a company, that has stability, in the stakeholder, in the holding, of the company, because that gives us freedom to think, of course, of short term we want to deliver, but also longer term. And that gives us freedom to build a bold project, like who can say today, I have 10 years to build a platform, I have 20 years to think. I don't know many companies where you have this freedom, and it's something I love at L'Oréal.
That reminds me of two things. One is certainly a number of times that I remember seeing a boss come in and then do massive changes in usually his 3-year stint that really looked more like a burned crop approach. And the person afterwards had to clean it all up, bring his or her impact in afterwards. And it was like a revolving door of massive change so that everybody felt that they're having an imprint. Yeah. The second thought is, and this is a reference to someone we both know, Doriane Delati. And Doriane brought to me one thing. When I arrived in Canada, she pulled me aside and with great respect, she said, Minter, it was really literally the first days in Canada. She said, what's going to be your legacy while you're in this post for 3 years in Canada? And I was like, I hadn't thought about it yet. And so lesson learned. And within a few days, I really thought about what it was going to be and then explained that to everybody and then tried to go around putting it in place. And the fruits of the labor, which hopefully are still being felt today. That was my experience with Doriane. So yeah, legacy is such an important piece. Yeah. So another big thing we've obviously got in France, the law, that the loi Pacte, as it's called, to impose on companies to have a raison d'être, a purpose. And certainly in my time, when I was at L'Oréal, and I left in 2009, it was not a topic, purpose. So tell us about the place and the role of purpose in L'Oréal these days.
Yeah, great. Well, topic dear to my heart. Maybe before I start to talk about L'Oréal, I will talk about myself. So I come from a family where my parents are a doctor in public hospital. My grandmother was doctor. My sister is doctor. Everybody's saving the world. And here I was starting to work on a cell shampoo company. So at the beginning, I remember 3 years after starting, I've been attending a talk with a doctor, a geriatric in charge of all people, because we were talking about the boomers and the silver beauty. And after this talk, I had 3 days where I said, should I have been a doctor? Like, what can I do at L'Oréal? And then I stepped back and I realized that beauty can change the world. And I have this, I see beauty as something that is not superficial. I see beauty as something very deep. Beauty is a powerful force, that moves us, that connects us internally to who we are, to our own identity. Beauty is diverse. Beauty is also the beauty of the history, of the culture, of the evolution of the planet. So contrary to what some people think, beauty is not superficial, beauty is deep, and you can change the world with beauty. And certainly when you are the #1 beauty company of the world, working with more than 80,000 employees, with so many suppliers, so many beauty professionals, millions across the world, working, with billions, of consumers and talking to even more, you have a responsibility, and you have a responsibility to be a force for good. So the way I see it is always, a purpose, how can I, so our sense of purpose or raison d'être, actually it's something you invited me to work on myself. So I remember when you tell me, think about what is it for you, I came with this idea of innovating together for a more beautiful life. And it's still on my LinkedIn today, innovating together for a more beautiful life. And if you ask me, what has been driving me since this time when we had this discussion, is this idea of innovating together, because I can do nothing alone, and it's because of the power of collective intelligence and teams and conversations that things are born and innovation is born. for a more beautiful life. At one point, I believe we have one life, and I believe we should use everything we can, in our professional and personal life to have a positive impact on our life and on the life of others. So L'Oreal came last year with a new sense of purpose, which is called We Create Beauty that Moves the World. We create beauty that moves the world. And it encompasses, all the work that have been done since years by the group to have a positive impact, whether it's environmental impact, and we have the responsibility of the beauty of people, but also the beauty of the planet, and a social responsibility. And I'm really proud to be part of a company that has been, having, and it's something that is not known enough, but social responsibility has been at the core of the company since the beginning. When François Dalle opened, 50 years ago, headquarters in Clichy to create a dynamism and to have more diverse workforce, it is social responsibility. When Jean-Paul Agon is the first company, first CEO of the world to create a social benefit program that will be worldwide, maternity leave, paternity leave, retirement, we are the first company that created. We receive a phone call from the international organism of work, I don't know how you call it, l'Office International du Travail, to congratulate us because we were the first company to roll out a program at this scale. And why? Because we believe that if we start, other companies will do it, and maybe, government. Actually, one of the topics that Jean-Paul Agon, our previous CEO, is passionate about is what we call polylateralism. Polylateralism. So what does that mean? That means that the challenge of our time are so big. Do we truly believe that a president, for example, in France, or prime minister in the country here in the UK, will alone solve the challenge of our time? I don't believe. And you know what? While I love democracy, we have not found alone, democracies that have been able to solve all the problems, of the planet. So I believe that it with ecosystem, and this is this idea from Jean-Paul Agon, is with when you have imagine we join the forces of government, of companies, of university, of school, of citizens, and also cross-border, if we work really together, this is when we can really solve the challenge of our time. So I see L'Oreal as a living company within an ecosystem, and I believe we have a role to play in this ecosystem. Yes.
Well, what's interesting about that is Edelman, that does the trust barometer, they have identified that we live in a world of fear and anxiety. And then the trust element, how much trust is there in the media, in government, and in business? And generally, the answer is not much. And the latest 2022, which I've just written an article about, very clearly indicates that there's no trust in government to fix these world problems. And I think maybe it's implicit in the study, but there is a feeling of more trust that companies will be able to bring better solutions, more operational, actionable, as you said before, solutions to help get us through this. Because of course, companies are partly responsible for some of the issues, whether it's palm tree, palm oil, or sustainable development issues. We've been part of that. And the other thing you mentioned about the way as a world is polylateralism. I remember very clearly how when the American companies set up base in China, they established with courage, I'm thinking of Ford Motor Company and General Motors, or IBM, it was IBM. They a certain standard for expatriates to live. And that absolutely raised the bar for everybody else. And we're talking many, many years ago. So I do agree. And I can certainly feel how when a company insists on a certain value around the world in business, it can help raise the bar for everybody. So that's a really interesting insight.
Thank you, Minter. Yes, I think it's we all have a role to play, and I still think there are much more to do to create ecosystem. In Canada, when I was in Montreal, we tried to create a network called French Touch Business, where we will create ecosystem between research in university, company, government, I still think we work too much in silos. So I know it's one of the topics I will continue to work on in the coming years, because I think magic happens when you put everybody together. It's the same for us with industry. When we talk about two topics I'm passionate about, with a professional product division, is when you tell me, if you ask me what is your purpose and what do you concretely turn this sense of purpose into a reality, for me, there are two topics that I'm quite passionate about. Is of course the sustainable transformation of Salon as the first one, and the second one is making sure that all the salons in the country are catering for every type of need and all air type, which is not yet the case today, because gap in product in the past, now it's filled, and in education. And here what is very interesting is we are a product company, but we work also with trade bodies, with hairdressing school, with all the salon. So it's kind of all the chain that is going to drive together, of course, with media, this transformation. And I think when you work together, on all the value chain, this is when you can sustainably, drive change. So I'm quite passionate about this topic.
That very much resonates with what I call the inside out model, where you start with a process and which is within your team, that your team internally knows it, believes it, trusts it with transparency. And then throughout the value chain, there's a consistent message adapted to each one accordingly. And the other comment that you make me think of is with regard to universities. And one of the challenges in education around the world is bringing people up or educating them to understand how to deal with challenge, not just to fill your head with great information and facts about the Battle of Hastings or Waterloo or whatever, to bring up something most conflictual for French people, but learning how to deal with the challenges of life. And I think that businesses have there's sort of a duty to bring back into universities that life is full of shit. Life is full of negatives. Life is full of challenges. And actually, that is what characterizes life. So learn to deal with the difficulties. Don't bring up children and students to think that it's all about 102%.
It's very inspiring what you tell me. It makes me think about how myself I've been I find energy to address challenge at work, and how do I educate myself to find answers. So for example, during COVID, lockdown one, I went running every day, listening to podcasts, some of yours, of course, and one podcast on history a day, and for example, hearing the difficulty of people during First World War, when they thought the first years that the battle will last 2 months, like we thought COVID would last a very short period of time, was very inspiring, because straight away I said, okay, they thought it will last 2 months, but it lasts 4 years. So I need myself not only to be prepared for a COVID of 2 months, but I need to be prepared. What if it was lasting 4 years? What is my role as a leader? Of course, not sharing this frightening news with the team, but being preparing, for a short-term and longer-term plan, and preparing for business contingency. So history and war period for me are a source of inspiration. Art, of course, is a source of inspiration for me. When you say tackling the challenge of life, of course, art helped me. One of the ones that I'm quite passionate about, I told you about, Minter, is sport. So sport has always been a huge part of my life. Lucky me, together with my twin sister, we have been competing in swimming, and swimming 2 hours a day when I was a kid. Since then, doing some triathlon, stopping too much when I had kids, and now being back at it. I must say, I take a lot of inspiration from sport people, whether they are valid or they carry an handicap. The level of challenge that people have to go through, and there are so many things I love about sport. First, it's the effort culture. Like you talk about the young generation, and we had many conversations together on that. I have a passion, for people putting in effort every day. with consistency, with methods into life is hard, and sometimes reaching goal is hard. I believe that we are born with what we have, and we have a responsibility to make what we have, the best we can.
Sounds like a parable from the Bible.
Yeah.
We're born with talents. If you have one or two or 10.
Exactly. So let's put effort into reaching our own potential and helping others reaching their own potential. So I believe in the power of effort and consistency and methodology. What I get from sport is also what I love is also this idea that this idea of growth, and growth. Of course, you want to win with others, but it's always first a battle between you and you yesterday, you today, with high and lows, with a big moment of joy and a big deception and success and deception. So it's quite interesting, what sport can bring. More recently, actually, I invite everyone to listen. It's a team member that shared with me a documentary, British one, that really check my mind, which is called No Woman, No Try. It's a fantastic documentary about women in rugby and women in English rugby. I encourage everyone to see it because, in this documentary, many things came in my mind. First, the idea that, breaking a perception. What does that mean, being beautiful? Being beautiful is being strong, and in all its form. Secondly, if maybe rugby was in the past, and it's not the case today, but less enjoyable sometimes than professional rugbymen, is because the women, they have less time to train. Why? Because they don't have a salary. They are not professional. There is not enough money in a professional sport and women professional sport to make it great. So I'm super happy because now, thanks to the documentary and the work of fantastic players like Shanagon, you have this growing momentum around women in sport and women in rugby. And today, unfortunately, there are still 2 times more men that practice some sports than women. And there are many barriers to that. I really believe that taking care of ourselves, of our body and sports is very important to be a successful leader in business. So I encourage everyone listening to think about what they can do to do more sport and to encourage people around themselves or their team members to do more sport. Because I believe the stronger your body, the stronger your mind. I also, I have this idea also, I love triathlon, so swimming, cycling, running. And I have this idea of sportosophy. It's sport, but it's philosophy in the same time. There are amazing moments for you to escape, to step back, to breathe, to slow down, to get different perspective. So what I must say is that these sportosophy moments are essential to my life and to my balance and help me to come back every day at work with a different perspective and. It gives me energy, the little plus that you told about, at the beginning.
Well, wow, so you've made 2 references to rugby in our chat. One, James Kerr's legacy about the All Blacks, and then No Woman, No Try. And I'll be putting those show notes where people can go find them. Wonderful examples, of course, being a rugby man for 18 years, I can only say, yeah. Like it. So let's, in the few minutes that are left with us, Beatrice, wanted to talk about digital in particular. So we've had this pandemic, we've had the arrival of the internet, lots of new technologies, the mobile and digital transformation programs. And there pretty much isn't a company that hasn't looked at and probably struggled to deal with digital transformation. So what have been the biggest challenges that you guys have faced at L'Oreal with regard to digital and maybe a or 2 keys to success in making it work better?
Yes, great. So maybe first is that it started in 2010. So, the digital transformation started in 2010 when Jean-Paul Agon said 2010, year of digital transformation. And as always at L'Oréal, it starts by the nomination of an activist, an internal activists in the COMEX to drive the change. And it was Lubomira Rocher, Minter, that we both admire and love. And she arrived 37 years old in the COMEX with an older team member. And she came to first, help the COMEX to understand what was coming. So she brought all of them, in San Francisco and in the West Coast, and they visit all the GAFA, all the big companies, and they had a mindfulness experience, and they crazy, And so she started by first having all the top leaders understanding what it was. Second thing she did is building a roadmap with 3 simple objectives to reach in 5 years. So, it takes time, good news, to do this transformation. Based on 3 people, 3 things, it was at that time, we want to reach 20% of our turnover in e-commerce. We want to have 50% of the data of the customers that we interact with to deliver a more personalized experience. And we want to have 100% of love relationship, with our customer, if I remember well at that time what was launched. So having a clear roadmap with 3 KPIs, shared globally, with consistency, a review at every meeting, I think it's something that was very helpful. One of the things I learned, from Lubomira is she always say, digital is the mother of all transformation. Digital is the mother of all transformation. If we think about it, whether it's the freelancers, the e-commerce, the social media, everything is because of digital. So the tech, disruption, has driven all the human and experience disruptions that we live today. Another thing that I share, as an idea, I agree with her actually on this point, is we don't do digital transformation at L'Oréal. We just do a transformation. We do marketing at the digital age, which is totally different. Why? Because the purpose of what we do every day is not digital transformation. The purpose is customer. So we want to serve the customers the best using digital tools. And it's something I'm quite passionate about, is this idea of human and tech, and I will share with you some example, along the way. So what have been the key recipe of success for me? So first, nominating someone in the COMEX, that has responsibilities, that has the power, that the CEO support and say, she's the one, he's the one that will drive the transformation. Secondly, having a clear roadmap. Thirdly, investing massively. I mean, imagine we went from 0 to 3,000 digital, experts across the world. I don't know how many people, but I guess 30,000 of us have been trained with digital training, with diploma. And, you have to do exam back to work, whatever is your role. You may be a managing director, but you know what? Next week, I have to do my CM1, which is a very tough exam, where I may score very poorly. And while people thought I was good in digital, they may realize I'm super bad, but it's okay. I will do it, because it will give me my personalized training plan, and I will work hard to improve if I get a wrong score at that time. So this obsession on learning, we have a structure just in charge of digital learning at L'Oréal, is very key. And then is really putting the right resource, the transfers of resource of people from, for example, the field team to digital or e-commerce or social media across the last year has been massive. And we have really transformed and reshaped our full organization, our way of working. So it's still happening, because, metaverse, what's next, what is coming, of course, we have to seize new opportunity while being focused on the present and mastering the fundamental, because, it's easy to see what is the new fashionable things, and what we still don't nail, and we still don't master the fundamental of today. So one thing I'm quite passionate about is on digital is this idea of data to personalization, because I'm passionate about people and customer and delivering a personalized experience. I am a big passionate about data. So my dream is that we have data of 2 billion people in the world from the moment they become customer to the end of their journey. Not to get their data, is to provide them with additional. I want to have a positive impact in their life. I want to be there for a woman that going maternity leave. We're giving her the right product that will give her the confidence, to this extra pleasure and confidence to be a good mother. I want to help a woman that is going through cancer to find the right product for her skin. I want to help, I really think that with data, we can be relevant. And like you, Minter, I don't like when we lack relevance. I know you are obsessed by this topic, but I think with the right data strategy, we can deliver relevant experience that had positivity to the life of people. So because I like it, I'm the team, know me on that. I'm obsessed with data because I think it's the key to personalized experience. Yeah.
So if I may, I think that, first of all, you are also exuding this idea of empathy when you do that, because obviously if you lean into the issues that people have in a true manner, and you can bring to L'Oreal that kind of a viewpoint, I think that's really the way to touch people, to move people, because you're doing stuff that matters. So, Beatrice, I'm very disappointed that we don't have another couple of hours with you. I'm thinking what people who have been listening to this point have thought.
Wow!
It's been crazy fun listening to you. Your energy is contagious and certainly inspiring. So I would like to thank you so much for a great event. We thank you for that. And how can people follow you? Because you're quite the influencer online yourself, not just in the company.
Yeah, so Minter is the first one that told me to go on LinkedIn. I said, but why people will be interested? I have nothing to say. And you say, go on LinkedIn, try to write a few lines on who you are, what you care for, and then try to start to like some posts. So I start to like some posts. And then they tell me, now you start to, you need to give your point of view and to comment. I say, what? But I'm not an expert. And he said, go for it. And what this teach me is also to have more point of view on different topics. So I think in the same time, I'm developing, of course, my presence online to help me attract more diverse talent at L'Oreal, which is something I'm passionate about, building dream team. I think it helped me also to discover new people and to develop more different point of view. So thank you, Minter, for that. So people can follow me, principally on LinkedIn, Beatrice Dautzenberg. Instagram is more, kids and family, but I recommend LinkedIn, and I would be happy to connect. Thank you, Minter.
You're beautiful, truly. Thank you very much, Beatrice.
Bye, Minter. Take care.
Thanks for having listened to this episode of the Minter Dialogue podcast. If you like the show and would like to support me, please consider a donation on patreon.com/MinterDial. You can also subscribe on your favorite podcast service. And as ever, rating and reviews are the real currency for podcasts. You'll find the show notes with over 2,000 and more blog posts on minterdial.com. Check out my documentary film and 4 books, including my last one, You Lead, How Being Yourself Makes You a Better Leader. And to finish, here's a song I wrote with Stephanie Singer, A Convinced Man.
A stranger tucked around me, precipitating the danger to feel free. Trust is the reason, still I won't toe the line. I sit here passively, hope for your respect, anticipating the thrill of your intellect. Maybe I tell myself there's no use in me lying. I'm a convinced man, building an urge. I'm a convinced man, to live and die submerged. A convinced man, in the arms of a woman. I'm a convinced man, challenge my fate. man. Competition's innate, a convinced man. In the arms of a woman. Despise revenges and struggle with deceit. Live for the challenge so life's not incomplete. What's wrong with challenge? I know soon we all die. I like the feel of a stranger tucked around me, precipitating the danger. To feel free, trust in my reason, and let me show you why. I'm a convinced man, practicing my lines. I'm a convinced man, here in these confines. A convinced man, in the arms of a woman. I'm a convinced man, admit to the test. I'm a convinced man, I'm ready for an arrest. I'm a convinced man, in the arms of a woman.
Hello, I'm Paul Brandis, host of the new evergreen podcast called West Wing Reports. Each Friday, I'll recap the week's highlights from the White House, Capitol Hill, Pentagon, and elsewhere. I'll feature the news affecting you, your money, your job, your life, reported fairly and accurately, as well as interviews with some of Washington's most intriguing people. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.